Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Board Game Buys. So in this series I take a look at all of the new board games that I've acquired over the last month. This episode is covering November 2022 when I've had a staggering 18 new board games. So I had no anticipation of getting this many games, but sometimes it just happens. And before I get started on the games, I want to give a shout out to the show's sponsor, KIENDA.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer when it comes to acquiring board games here in the UK. And if you use my link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. But let's crack on with what I've got. And the first one here is the Galileo project. So this one is a new one out, so it's a 2022 release. I don't know too much about the actual mechanisms in the game, but I've heard some good early praise about this one. So this one is a Sorry We Are French publication that was kindly passed on to me by Hachette, who are the distributor here in the UK. I think it's got some kind of degree of engine building to it. I don't really know too much beyond that, but you clearly got some card drafting and again some tableau building, etc. So hopefully it's going to be good. And sometimes it's nice going into games blind because yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get with this one. So that is the Galileo project. We also have a game with some buzz at the moment. We have Lacrimosa. So this one has actually been quite high on my kind of most anticipated list because I'm a huge fan of classical music actually. So I actually do love the setting of this one. And I'm not normally a big fan of, or I don't get drawn in by themes or settings of games, but this one has caught me. It actually looks like quite a stripped back Euro with some card play as you're slotting these cards into either the top part of your player board or the bottom part to take actions or to, I think it's like acquire income for the next phase or currency for the next phase to do other actions. The rest of it seems like pretty standard Euro stuff, but I'm quite intrigued to see how that card play mechanism comes through and how you acquire new cards and basically improve upon your previous ones. So yeah, very excited to try this one. It's definitely right at the top of my priority list, and it's probably going to be the next new game that I play. So that is Lacrimosa. Also, a game that I've already covered on the channel, we have Hiroba, another one provided to me by Hachette. So this one, check out my review because I was very high on this one. It's a nice little area control game that it uses a Sudoku style mechanism as you cannot play your numbered tokens in the same row, column or area as a number of the same type. Okay, I'm not going to go too far into it, but it's a really nice game, and yeah, check out my review that's recently been released. I took a bit of a speculative punt on this game here called Assyria. So the reason I picked this one up was because of the publisher here, the Astari publisher. So I actually ended up acquiring quite a few of these Astari games, and I do like most of them, despite the fact that I went into them completely blind, didn't know much about them at all. So this one, again, it's in that same line of games, so hopefully it's going to be good. Very mechanical Euro beige style games, but they tend to be at least to a certain high quality. I don't know if it's going to be enough to stay around or be a great one, but at least I'll have a chance to play it and see how it goes. So that is Assyria. A game that I've been looking for quite a while now is First Class. So I managed to pick up a copy of this one at a reasonable price, despite this one being very much out of print. Another game that I think is on that medium lightweight or kind of medium weight Euro. Has this train theme to it, but I'm not sure how strong that is. Another game that I've heard nothing but good things about, and I'm not quite sure about the intricacies of the actual rules themselves or what the mechanisms entail. But still, these games that are revered and spoke highly of by people I respect, I definitely want to at least cast my eye upon them and get them to the table. So that is First Class. I've also picked up an expansion for Docmus. So Docmus, a terribly underrated little kind of area control style game where you're trying to cover the map and things by expanding your little pieces out. But this one adds a new god power into the game. It looks like it doesn't add too much bloat or anything like that, which is quite nice because it's such a simple and streamlined game, and I don't want to detract from that experience. So that is Docmus, the the Return of Ereful expansion. Picked up a little game called Loading, Load Up on the Fun. So this is like almost like a variant on The Mind, but it's a real-time one where you have these cards in your hand with these numbers, and then you can basically acquire cards from this kind of quick drafting system, add them onto your scoring pile, or you can actually add them onto your opponent's scoring piles, and if you do that, you can snatch a even more valuable card from them. So it's a very frantic style game. I have played it quite a few times, and I'll be recording my review shortly. Also picked up a copy of Photograph. Now this is the reprint of a game called Wind the Film, which is a game that really appealed to me because I tend to love thinky little card games, and this one has a lot of restrictions, as when you acquire cards they have to stay in that order in your hand, so you don't have that kind of option to jiggle things around, and you're basically trying to build different sets of cards, almost in like a Lost City style fashion, where you cannot, when you start ascending you have to ascend, or when you start descending you have to keep to that pattern. However, you can only have small increments and gaps in between those numbers, which makes things even more punishing if you get it wrong. That is Photograph. I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts with you guys on that one. Another game that's going to come from completely out of nowhere really is Vegetable Stock. So this is a very charming little card game about commodity speculation. So you can see here it comes in this tiny little box. It's from a Taiwanese publisher. So you're going to have to get this imported if it appeals to you. I think I've recorded my review of this one already, so I'll get that one out. Very light game, but it's basically a little drafting game that when you, or the card that remains from the drafting area is going to impact the value of the different commodities. And depending on what you've drafted at the end of the game is going to be valued depending on those commodity values. So that is Vegetable Stock, literally a 10 to 15 minute game there. I finally got a copy of GEEKNSON. You can see this one is still in the shrink wrap, so I've not had a chance to play this one yet, but I am really keen to get this one to the table because it looks right up my alley. Got a lot of obviously Euro mechanisms here. I think it's got this kind of point-to-point movement system. Obviously you're acquiring cards and things. Yeah, it just looks like it's going to tick a lot of boxes for me. And yeah, not another game that I don't know a terrible amount about, but what I do know, it's been very positive and it definitely appeals to me, that's for sure. So that is GEEKNSON. Let's continue now with Teletum. So yeah, definitely this is right at the top of my most anticipated list, the latest Tashini and Luciani design. I have recorded a comprehensive review of this one. If you haven't seen that already, I'll spoil it now. It is absolutely brilliant and probably going to be a top 3 game of the year for me. I'll be very surprised if it's not. Could even be my number 1 depending on what else comes out. But yeah, this one is a brilliant little dice drafting game, as you are collecting resources based on these dice drafts, but the almost conflicting side of that die, so if you say you had a 5, the reverse side would be a 2, then if you draft the 5 resources, then you're going to get strength 2 action. And then you're traveling around the map, you're building up these columns to contribute to the churches, you're building up your little player board. Lots going on here. Check out my review. I go into some depth about why I like it so much. So that is Teletum. Very happy to have that one in the collection. And yeah, looking forward to playing it a lot more. We have the first of the Steffenfeld games here. The Steffenfeld collection finally got delivered by Queen. This is Hamburg, which is the reprinting of Bruges, a game that I've been hunting high and low for a very long time. And yeah, obviously I've not had the chance to find a copy. I would rather probably have that original Bruges than this new Hamburg one, because that has a certain charm to it, where these Steffenfeld collection games, they feel a little bit soulless, but that's fine. I think the game actually does look a lot better in person than it does in terms of like the artwork and things. But this is a multi-use card style game. You're building up a tableau of cards, do wildly different things. You have this kind of color-coded system as you're trying to fight off these threats. Again, you're building this engine. You're collecting money based on these dice rolls as well. Tons going on here, but it's again, I'm happy to have it in my collection because I love Steffenfeld, pretty much unanimously. And yeah, I'm going to. I've played this a few times already, and I will be sharing my thoughts soon. Continuing with the Steffenfeld games, I have the newest Steffenfeld game. This is Marrakech. So I'm not going to flip the box over because this is absolutely full of stuff, but this is a kind of a mini game, kind of extraordinaire, I suppose. Think of something like Trajan, where you have a bunch of little mini games that all synergize with each other. That is what this game is all about, and it takes that whole dynamic to a whole new level. You have this kind of Keshi system where you have every coloured token is linked to a certain mini game, and as you acquire more of them, your ability to perform that particular action gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on. Tons of replayability here. Every game is going to feel different just by the way things come out. And yeah, I have played it, and I will be again sharing my thoughts soon. You can see I've got a lot of new games that I need to get through. Hopefully I'm going to find the time to do it. I'll get there eventually, let's just say that. The next one, staying on the same pattern here, is Amsterdam. So this is the reprinting of Macau, another game that is like gold dust. You cannot find a copy of it anywhere. So yeah, finally happy that this one is available. I'm not entirely sure of the intricate mechanisms here either, but this is one of the Feld games that people speak very highly of. These diehard Feld fans think highly of this one. So I'm excited to see what happens here. Something I will say about these two games, particularly Amsterdam and Hamburg, they do have a bit of an issue when it comes to components, because they are quite symbology heavy. And you can actually spend extra to get the language dependent ones, where you can actually obviously read the text and things which show what every single card does. That is something that I'm considering getting, but we'll see how familiar I get with the symbology and go from there, I suppose. So that is Amsterdam. On to the final copy here then. So we got URGI. So this is a Kickstarter project that I didn't back myself. My brother backed this one. I think it's an area control style game. From what I hear, it's relatively stripped back and streamlined. So excited to see what that entails. And yeah, going into this one pretty blind. And let me guys know what you think if you've got this one or decided to back that one. So that was URGI. We also took a punt on The King's Dilemma. So this game, me, a friend of mine, and my brother went kind of, we shared the expense, because this is on sale at the moment in the UK at least. You can get it at quite a nice price. But this is like a legacy adjacent style game, as you are trying to work together and discuss and debate about how to overcome these conundrums, I suppose, almost in like the small council setting. Think of something like Game of Thrones. So I like that idea. And thematically, I'm all in. Again, that's an anomaly for me. I don't normally care about theme, but I'm actually excited to see what this is, because I love kind of medieval, dark ages, that kind of grimdark setting, and I'm hoping I get that from this game. So mechanically, I'm actually not too fussed about how the mechanisms work, as long as they're not bad. But I just want that good story, and I want that good, interesting debate, I suppose. So that is The King's Dilemma. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to pick that one up, but yeah, the sale has swayed me. Another game that I've been headhunting is Tram Barn. So this is a 2-player only game here, you can see. This is the Mayfair edition. But this is, I believe it has some similarities to a game like Lost Cities. It is considered, or often compared to, that game. Now, I love clever, concise card games when they're 2 players. And yeah, 2-player games, or good 2-player games, are few and far between, at least in my opinion. The great ones have been ones that have stayed around for a while, and they have a timeless appeal to them. And I'm hoping Tram Barn fits into that. And I have some, I have some optimism in regards to that. So I'm sure it won't be too long before I get a chance to play Tram Barn. Just a couple more now that I actually don't have here in person. The first of which is Ready, Set, Bet. So I did pick up a copy of this when it first came out here. I was initially quite impressed, but my impressed nature did quickly diminish, as I think the novelty wears off quite quickly. So yeah, check out my review. I have uploaded it, and you can get some more detailed thoughts there. And the final one that I picked up, or was delivered, was Autobarn. So Autobarn, another game that was hotly anticipated for me, the new Alley Cat game. This one I was certainly disappointed by. I thought it was quite a convoluted game. Was excited to play it, very optimistic, and quickly was deflated. It's a bit too fiddly, too much going on, and it could have used heavy editing, in my opinion. And I know I am in the minority for that, because most of you guys seem to like that one. So that's it. That's all the games that I've picked up here. Let me know what games you're looking forward to me covering, because I'm sure, at least in some capacity, I will be covering these in the next months, etc., weeks. As soon as I can. Really, I've got so much going on, but I will try to get to all of them in due course. So that's it really. If you have enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, and check out my other content too. For everybody else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye bye.